What's up, everybody? This is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com, and thank you so much for tuning in to Loop Live today. We're excited to kick this off. We're going to get started in about 6.5 minutes. While you're watching, if you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and type into the comment box where you're watching from. It's always fun to kind of see where everybody's tuning in from, and we're a community. We're all about community. And so we want to kind of just, be all in this together. And so go ahead and type in where you're watching from, what church you're at. And also, we're going to be giving away multi-tracks, all right? So if you hit the share button right now, we're gonna choose 5 winners, all right? So when you hit the share button on this video, you're gonna be entered to win any multi-track of your choice from our website. So we're gonna choose 5 winners. And so go ahead and hit the share button now, comment where you're watching from. We're so excited about our announcement today. Cannot wait to get started. We're gonna get going in about 6 minutes. We'll see you soon. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Loop Live. We're so glad that you guys are joining us here today. I just want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to our sponsor, Word Worship. You just saw a commercial there for The Church Will Sing. It's such a unique product. It's a unique album that they're doing, where basically what they're doing is they're going to put out a worship album with a bunch of songs, but what they're going to do is they're going to actually let you guys be a part. So what you would do is you would actually record your church singing to these songs, and then they're going to take that recording of your church singing and put it on the finished album of this project. And so it's going to be a bunch of worship songs on an album with like a massive church voice of churches all over the world. And I think that's actually like so cool, especially as Loop community. Like, we're all about community here. And what an awesome way to come together as churches all over and be on a project together. So make sure, if you're interested in that, check out thechurchwillsing.com. We have all the multi-tracks available on Loop Community. So thank you so much to Word Worship for sponsoring this live event. We're so excited about this. If you are watching on YouTube and Facebook, go ahead and just type in to the chat box of where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where you guys are tuning in from. And my name is Matt McCoy. I'm the founder of loopcommunity.com. I'm also an Ableton Live certified trainer, and I have been a worship leader since I was 15 years old. And I've been using tracks in worship since about 2001. And it's changed a lot over the years. And honestly, it's gotten a lot easier. What it was like back in 2001 running Ableton Live is very different than what it is now. And Loop Community has always been about simplifying the track process. Using tracks in worship should not be complicated. And so Loop Community, from day one, we're trying to figure out how can we make running tracks super easy. And so everything we're doing is about that. It's about community and making products that are affordable and quality and easy to use. Because it shouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to use all this stuff. So, a couple years ago, we were like, you know what? There needs to be an easier way to actually run tracks. And so we developed a free app for iPhone, iPad, and Mac called Prime. And this app makes running tracks so easy. And check it out in the App Store. We simplified the track process by putting it all inside of a mobile device here. Then we were like, you know what? We need an easier way to actually control and trigger your tracks. And what happened is we were getting a lot of people emailing us being like, hey, how do I configure my MIDI controller to control Ableton Live? And then we'd have to help support it, and it was really complicated. It was way too complicated. So we're like, you know what? We need to create a MIDI controller that's just easy, that just does what a worship leader needs it to do, which is trigger tracks, maybe loop sections, stop the tracks, trigger different, jump to different sections in the song. And so we developed Looptimus. We have the Looptimus controller and we have the Looptimus Mini. And so that being said, I just want to say that the heart behind Loop Community is to make your life easier. We want to make running tracks very easy. And so for the past year, we've been working to solve another problem. We've had people come to us, email us, chat with us on Facebook and say, what audio interface should I use to run my tracks? What audio interface should I use? And there's a lot of audio interfaces out there, but some of them are really complicated to use. And we're like, you know what? I think that we need to figure out a way to make an audio interface easier, to get the audio out of my iPad or out of Ableton Live on my Mac. How do I get it out of here into my sound system? That's the question people have all the time. And so we have worked really hard to simplify that process, and we're really excited today to announce our new product, Track Rig. So check out this commercial. Track Rig is the best audio interface for live performance. Giving you 8 XLR outputs, Track Rig has everything you need to connect your tracks directly to the sound system. With Track Rig, using tracks has never been easier. Whether you're new to backing tracks or have been using them for years, Track Rig simplifies and streamlines the entire playback process by making it easy to route your audio where it needs to go. Connect Track Rig to your computer or mobile device using a USB cable. Track Rig will automatically be recognized as an audio output device in Ableton Live, Prime, Logic, or any other playback application. There's no installation process, no confusing software audio routing, just plug and go. Once Track Rig is connected,
route your tracks to any of the 8 line-level XLR outputs. There's no need for direct boxes or adapters. Simply run standard XLR cables from TrackRig's outputs directly into your soundboard or audio snake to begin receiving strong, clean, high-fidelity signal. TrackRig also acts as a USB hub for your computer or mobile device. TrackRig gives you 4 additional USB ports to connect your MIDI controllers, external hard drives, or even give your phone a charge. Why pay for a recording interface when you aren't doing any recording? TrackRig eliminates the need to buy expensive audio interfaces and direct boxes for your tracks to be heard. TrackRig combines everything you need into one simple, rack-mountable box. The future of live playback interfaces is here with TrackRig. Get yours today at trackrig.com.
Hey everyone, my name is Andrew Pica and I'm hanging out with the LC team here in Chicago, and it is my privilege to be the first one to get to introduce you to TrackRig and give you a quick demo on how it works with Ableton Live. I've been using tracks for years now. I'm a touring musician. I've played drums for several artists. I've been using tracks my entire touring career. So this is something that's very familiar with me, as well as like the hang-ups that come up with doing tracks. So when I'm traveling, I get asked all the time, whether it's at churches or from other bands that we're touring with, I get asked, what interface do you use to run tracks? Or how do I get set up to even begin running tracks? And depending on who I'm talking to, I can start going into the process of talking about what interfaces you can go out there to buy that have the right amount of inputs or outputs, and I end up getting usually a very glazed look over their face as I start to get into kind of the tech specs of different interfaces. And so in the end, I end up telling them, well, you just need an interface that has the number of outputs that you need. And I remember talking to a worship leader at a church in North Carolina, and I'm talking to him about, he's like, I know that our band needs to start using tracks, but I don't even know where to start. So he's like, so what, I know I need Ableton, but like what interface should I use? And so I kind of like give him the rundown, I kind of give him some options, and I show some interfaces, and he's like, well, you're showing me interfaces that have like inputs, so what do I use like those inputs for and everything? And I was like, well, you actually don't need those at all, like you're just using the interface for the outputs, so you can kind of ignore that. And then he's like, well, this one also comes like with a software in which you can like route audio, it looks like, within a software. Like, how does that work with Ableton? I'm like, well, you don't really need to worry about that, but you can do a bunch of stuff, and it started to just get really complicated really quickly. And that's when I started to realize that there wasn't a solution on the market that was plug and play ready for tracks. And I realized this too with our own setup with these bands I was touring with, that we would spend $800 plus on a recording interface, on an interface that was designed for actually recording audio, and then we would stick it in a box and we'd cover the entire front of it so that you couldn't use the inputs, or you didn't even look at any of that. And then the 1/4 inch outputs on the back of it, we would just create like a little adapter to go from 1/4 inch to XLR, just so we could get it into our snake and send it back to the soundboard. It was just this really strange, long workaround just to get audio, line level audio, out of our interface into the soundboard. And I was looking at that, I'm like, why doesn't something easier exist? So thus we get TrackRig, which I'm so excited to show you how to use, and it's so easy. I think you're going to be pretty pumped as I go through it. So TrackRig, as you can see, has 8 XLR outputs on the front of it, and those XLR outputs can be run into any snake. It's meant to be a seamless transition from the outputs into a stage snake that will go to your soundboard, and you get individual control over each of those channels. So let me just give you a little boot up sequence here. So when I plug TrackRig in, you'll see all the LEDs turn on and then off. That shows that it's getting power. And then it's just USB in to your MacBook or whatever computer you're using. Now, within Ableton Live, that's a program we're using, we're going to go to our preferences, and then we're going to go to the audio tab right here. On that, we see audio output device. We're going to go down, and we're going to select Loop Community Track Rig, 8 outputs. Now we need to make sure that all 8 outputs are actually enabled, so we're going to go to Output Configuration and make sure that these are all selected and yellowed. So when they're yellow, that means that they're enabled. So we're going to click OK, exit out of that. So now Ableton is ready to use Track Rig as its output device. So we have a session open here. I got 3 songs, Reckless Love, Unstoppable, and Tremble. And each song has a bunch of different tracks and a bunch of different instruments that can be played along to. So I'm going to choose which instruments and which tracks I want to send out which outputs on Track Rig. And it's super easy. There's no software involved at all. You just go down to audio, you choose what channel. So I'm going to start with click. And at the bottom, you'll see audio 2 down here. I'm going to make sure it's selected to external out. And then on this drop-down menu right below it, I get to choose which output I want that instrument to go out. So in this case, I'm going to send click out output 1, which means on Track Rig, when I press play and start this track, channel 1 is going to have click coming out of it, going to the soundboard. Now I'm going to do that for all my tracks. I've kind of already done that already, but you can see I'm sending my cues out output 1. I have drums going output 2, effects, bass output 3, and that goes all the way down to, we have keys all the way down here going output 8. So I'm using all 8 outputs. I'm sending all these instruments out different ones. So in practice, when I hit play on Reckless Love, we're going to see in Ableton, we see audio coming on each channel being sent out those outputs. And the way I can verify that is on Track Rig, you can look at the LEDs on the front, and you can actually see signal lighting up on each of those. And that's how you verify that you actually have audio coming out those outputs. And really, it's as simple as that. This gives your sound person so much more flexibility in how he mixes your sound. So now instead of having to rely on the mix within Ableton that you're sending out, you can give him 8 different separate channels to work with to mix at different levels and really hone in like the mix of when you're playing live. So that's how it works within Ableton. But that's not all. That's not all that Track Rig can do. This is the really cool thing that I get even more excited about. So quick side note, Track Rig is rack mountable. So we have rack ears on this unit right here. And they're universal. They can be flipped onto either side of Track Rig. So right now, if you want this to be the front and this to be facing out with your outputs, you can mount it in like that. You can also take these off, put it on the other side, and voila, we have 4 USB slots on the back. And you can put the rack ears on that, and you can have this facing out. Now what's so cool about the USB slots is that it acts as a USB hub for your computer. And these days, computers, especially Macs, are just losing more and more USB slots. I'm pretty sure they won't be on any of them in the near future. So when you hook up a USB device when you hook Track Rig up to your computer, you gain 4 additional USB slots to use with any of your USB devices. So what does that look like in practice? Well, it looks like having an external hard drive. So within your Mac, when you hook up a hard drive, you can see that shows up in here. And you can drag and drop you can save samples on there, bring them into your session, whatever you need. It means you can hook up a MIDI controller, just like this Korg Nano Key. So you can play software instruments within Ableton, something like that. You know, I am not a keyboard player, so that's the extent of what I'm going to do there. You can even just charge your phone, which it's kind of funny. Little things like this make all the difference in the world when I'm playing live. I can't say how many times I wish that I could just plug my phone in and charge it while I'm playing so that when you get off stage, you have a full charge. It's the little things. It's the little things. And then last, we have an example such as a Looptimus pedal, which you can use in the USB hub. And it works just like it would if you plugged it directly into your Mac. And I know that there are a bunch of videos on Loop Community's website and on their YouTube page that show you how to use Loop to Miss and all the things that it can do. I would love to just show you a quick example how you can plug this into your track rig and you can use the Loop to Miss to MIDI map different scenes and trigger different songs within Ableton. So let me show you how to do that really quick. In Ableton, we have this little mini map button up here. You can just click that. Now everything that's highlighted in blue can be assigned to a button on Loop to Miss. So I'm going to take my 3 songs and assign it to 3 different buttons on Loop to Miss. So I'm going to take Reckless Love, I'm going to click on the title right there, the scene, and then I'm going to press the button I want to assign it to, which is 1 on Loop to Miss. Then I'm going to click Unstoppable, put that on button 2, Tremble on button 3, and then I'm actually going to take this global stop button right up here, click on that. I'm going to assign that to the stop button on Loop to Miss. So now that I'm finished, I click the MIDI button again. I'm back into regular mode, and now I'm ready. When I press the first switch on Loop to Miss, it's going to trigger my first song.
Drums, 4, 5,
Super
6.
easy. And then when that song is finished, I can hit button 2,
4, 5,
and it'll go on to Unstoppable.
Intro,
And
2,
I
3,
can
4.
go on to the third song
2,
by hitting button 3.
3, 4.
And when I'm done, I have the global stop button to stop all the audio. So it's really easy to use and really simple. I can't believe that. I wish that I had this product when I started using tracks. It would have made my life so much simpler. And it makes me so excited to be able to now finally tell people when they come up to me, all right, how do I even get started on tracks? Well, all you need is a track rig and either Ableton Live or Prime on your iPhone or on your iPad. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm super excited to invite Matt up here to talk about Prime. And I'm also super excited to let you know that you can now order track rig on trackrig.com. They're $3.99 and they're expected to ship in September. And I wish that I could have had this when I just got started on tracks. It is, I hope, a blessing to all you worship leaders, all you musicians hoping to get started on tracks out there. So I'm going to invite Matt back up here, but in the meantime, check out this video from Loop Community.
Chicago is a city that's always reinventing. Everywhere you look, buildings are being torn down and new buildings are going up. New restaurants are opening on every corner. And somehow, even though they use the same age-old ingredients, they're able to create new meals packed with brand new flavors. People are inventing new ways to get around the city, new ways to pay for things. It's always being refined and streamlined. Chicago is always working. And that's one of the things I love about the LC headquarters being in the heart of Chicago. This city inspires and influences our decisions every day. We're always looking for new ways to share the same message, new ways to perform the same tasks, but in a more efficient way. And as a worship leader, I know what it's like to want to spend the best hours of my days creating and refining my craft, not messing around with confusing hardware and software. And that's why at LC, we're passionate about reinventing ourselves and developing brand new products that serve worship leaders all around the world. I wake up every morning excited to do this work. We started as a company that focused on giving worship leaders a way to legally share the tracks that they were creating with each other. We converted a black market of user-generated track sharing into a platform that then ensures that songwriters and artists are actually getting paid. A few years later, we knew that there had to be an easier way to play back your multitracks. And so with our app, Prime, we wanted to make it easy to customize your songs so that you can still lead with tracks, but sound like you. With Looptimus, we got tired of using MIDI controllers that were really hard to configure. Sometimes it felt like only a rocket scientist could figure out how to make them do simple tasks like triggering your tracks or looping a chorus. More recently, the team at LC has been working to simplify a different problem. We've been dreaming about what would it look like to reimagine the audio interface. Up to this point, musicians have had to purchase more gear than they actually need just to get their tracks heard through the sound system. As a solution to this issue, LC has worked hard to develop TrackRig. We've made a complicated process simple and streamlined. The team at LC is dedicated to creating quality and affordable resources for worship leaders. We pay extremely close attention to the needs of the local church, and we work tirelessly to develop tools to meet the needs of modern musicians. Our passion is to provide tracks, hardware, and software that will make your Sunday a little bit easier. We were all made for community, and that's why LC will always be by the church and for the church.
All right, you guys, this is awesome. TrackRig, thank you so much, Andrew, for that awesome demo of how to use TrackRig with Ableton Live. This is a product we're really excited about. And now I'm gonna actually do a demo on how you can use TrackRig with our app, Prime. Whether you're using Prime on an iPad or using Prime on your iPhone or Prime on your Mac. The cool thing about Prime is it works exactly the same way on all different devices. So I'm gonna show you how to use TrackRig with that, because you can use everything TrackRig can do with Ableton Live, you can also do it with Prime. And I'm really excited about this because, you know, when I go out and lead worship right now, I've been just using my headphone jack coming out of my, my iPad. But the problem with that is it only gives you just a stereo out. And so all my tracks are merged together, my click is out one line and all my tracks are out the other. And it just doesn't allow any sort of flexibility at all. So like a lot of times my sound guy's like, hey Matt, the tracks sound good, but hey, can you turn down the tambourine or turn down the guitar? And then I have to do that. And the reason I haven't used interfaces is because it's so just touch and go. You just don't know what's exactly gonna happen. And also it's just complicated. You have to configure the software on your iPad or on your computer. You have to configure the device to actually work. And so we're like, okay, we need an interface that's just gonna be easy, just like we did with Looptimus. We need just a plug and play, no software, no complicated routing thing going on. And so that's what this is. That's actually what's so cool about TrackRig is it is plug and play. You plug it in and your device will see it. What's also really cool about this unit is it's really light. It's very, very light. So it's perfect for like putting it into a backpack. You know, if you're traveling around, or if you're putting it, you know, on a pedal board. I know some guys have their interfaces on a pedal board, or if you're putting it in a rack. It's really light. And that was something that we really was really important to us because we don't want to be hauling around a ton of gear. That's one of the other reasons I was only using my headphone jack, is because I didn't want to be hauling around like a bunch of DIs and an interface, and it's super heavy. And so TrackRig's awesome. As Andrew mentioned too before, you can rack mount it. So these are reversible rack ears, so you could make this way the front, or you could make this way the front, depending on which way you put these rack ears on. So we've got XLRs in the front, USBs in the back, and let's go and rock. Let's go and show you how to actually use this with Prime. For today's demo, I'm going to be using Prime for Mac, but again, it would be the exact same thing with an iPad. All you would need is a USB cable, and then you need Apple's USB adapter. And you can just pick that up and you plug that right into your iPad, and TrackRig will automatically be recognized by Prime on your iPad or your iPhone. So let's look at Prime for Mac, and I'm going to show you how we can get this all routed. Okay, so I've got TrackRig currently plugged into my computer via USB in the back. So all I have to do is go to Devices and I can choose Loop Community TrackRig from the device menu. Now, TrackRig has been enabled inside of Prime, and my Out button has been enabled. So now I can click on Outs, and you'll notice that on every single channel, I can choose which output each instrument's going to go out. So by default in Prime, the click and cues, which are the red faders, these go out of the left-hand side, and the blue faders by default go out of the right-hand side. So for this demo here, let's just say we're going to do this, all right? I've got 8 XLR cables plugged into my TrackRig. What I want to do is I'm going to have my click and my cues go out output 1, all right? So I want my click and cues going out this output right here. So I go to prime, and those are actually already by default set correctly, so I'm going to leave those there. Now output 2, let's just say output 2, I want to put my acoustic guitar. Well, the acoustic guitar is already set to output 2, so that's good. Output 3, let's just say I want this to be my bass. So I'm going to click there, and it's going to change my bass to output 3. Output 4 is going to be drums, all right? And actually, let's make that anything percussive. So I'm going to do drums. I'm going to do percussion as well, all right? Output 5 on Track Rig, I want that to be electric guitars. So I'm going to just change these to 5. OK, I think I got all my electrics. Output 6, let's make this keys and pad. So I'm going to change that to 6. And then 7 is going to be synth. All right, let's change this to 7. And my vocals are going to be 8. Now again, you could do this however you want, whatever fits your setup. But I would kind of use maybe a number scheme so that it all lines up perfectly the same every time. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit play. My click and cues are all going out output 1. My vocals are going out output 8, right? My guitars are going out output 5. And now what's awesome about this is that your sound guy has the control of the volume.
3, 4.
So because I did this, I would actually leave the volume of all of these prime tracks at max. That way my sound guy is going to have complete control over the volume of the instruments. So you don't even need to adjust the volumes in prime anymore, which is pretty awesome. Now here's what's also really cool, is that when I go to another song, all my output settings are actually going to save. So I don't have to redo those again. It's going to save there. And so now I can go to my next song. I can go to Reckless Love here and go to outs. And I can set these how I need them to be. Now, every song is different, right? Not every song has vocals on it. Not every song has guitars. So that's why you'll have to kind of reroute these a little bit differently every time. But click and cues are going to be 1, all right? Acoustic 2, bass 3, drums 4. I'm going to probably put the loop on 4. Let's do the vocals while I'm here. Let's put them on 8. All right. Guitars are 5. Cool. Let's make effects. Let's make those 7. All right. So you can route all your channels just like this. I'm going to put the keys. Let's put the keys on 4. Or actually 5. Okay. Once you route all your outputs, you're good to go. You've got your audio routed. You can control it all through here. And now your sound guy can actually mix it how he needs to. Here's something else that's kind of cool, actually. I was playing around with this morning, is prime pads. You know, with prime pads, we give you different stems for the pad, so you can actually customize the sound of the pad. Well, think about this. What about now you could actually have your sound guy be able to control the sound of the pad based on the moment. So I can set a different output for each one of these sounds, all right, or at least kind of group them together in somewhat. And now my sound guy can actually adjust the different sounds of the pads based on the output routings I'm choosing. Pretty cool. All right. Now let me show you one more thing on routing. I'm going to go to This Is Amazing Grace. We're going to choose outputs. You'll notice that there's a button here at the top that says mono or stereo, all right? If you click this mono button, you can now choose stereo pairs. So that's really important because sometimes tracks like pads or synths or even electric guitars have stereo panning. So you want to capture both sides of that. You don't want to maybe, because when you're just sending mono, it's basically taking both sides and just crunching them together. So with the stereo panning, you get to actually have both sides, which actually can really help enhance the sound of your tracks. So what I'm going to do is actually, for this example, we'll do stereo pairs. I'm going to switch all these to stereo, just like that. All right. My click and cues, they're going to still go out output 1, because those don't need to be stereo. There's really nothing fancy about click and cues. All right. My acoustic, we're going to send that out stereo pair 3 and 4. How about that? And maybe the drums are going to go out 5 and 6. Although, honestly, I'm probably not even going to be using drums when I play this song. But let's just set those to 5 and 6, and let's just say you put your electrics on 7, 8. So here, since you have 8 outputs, you're gonna have to probably group them together. So I would put the guitars maybe together, 3, 4. But you get the idea. So you'll be able to actually set stereo pairs for your tracks. If I had a lot more tracks, I'd be able to span that out more. But set stereo pairs.
Intro, 2, 3,
And now
4.
your stand guy will have stereo sound on each one of those stems. Now again, all of my audio routing is going to stay the same. And I know because some of you are probably asking, well, can we do maybe some sort of auto routing feature? That's something that we are working on in Prime, where this will automatically auto route for you. All right? Because again, we're all about making this easy for you. The last thing I want to show you is, just using like a Looptimus Mini, because let's just say you have here's the thing, you might have, a Looptimus controller, and maybe you're even using an iPad to do this. But you're like, well, wait a minute. I don't have, if I'm plugging TrackRig into this USB jack, then I don't have another USB jack to plug my Looptimus into. And this is where TrackRig comes into play. This is awesome. So I can plug TrackRig into my device here, and then on the back of TrackRig, again, like Andrew showed us, there's 4 USB jacks that you could use to plug in a Looptimus controller. So you plug in TrackRig to your device, and now I can plug Looptimus in to the back of TrackRig by just putting the USB jack in, plug in Looptimus. You'll see in Prime, you're going to see when I plug that in, MIDI is going to be enabled, which it was right here. And now I can click on MIDI, and anything that's white can be assigned to a button on Looptimus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this button play, the middle button stop, and the next button, this button right there. So I can still use Looptimus, and I can have multi-outs, all with using Prime. That's a very important distinction here, because we get that question a lot. People who are using an iPhone or an iPad, because since they removed the headphone jack from iPhones, a lot of guys are having to do audio out of their lightning jack on the iPad. This is a question we get a lot, is how do I do multi-outs and have a Looptimus? Well, TrackRig is the answer to that. You can now have multi-outs, and you could have 4 Looptimus pedals plugged in at once if you wanted. If anybody has 4 Looptimus pedals and they plug those into TrackRig and get it rolling, send me a picture. I want to see that. That's pretty awesome. So this is a really, really great unit for running your tracks, for getting the audio out of your sound system. The website is live right now. If you go to trackrig.com, you can actually pre-order yours today. It's very important that you pre-order, because we're going to make a limited quantity of these at first. And so if you want one of these, you want to get in line, because it's going to be first come, first serve. They're $3.99. Go to trackrig.com. We're estimating that they're going to ship in September. All right? So a couple months from now, you'll get this on your doorstep. So go to trackrig.com, and you can purchase this for $3.99. Get in line, pre-order it. We hope that this has been helpful for you guys. We're really excited about this new product. We've worked really hard the past year developing this, and we are continually developing, constantly. We're constantly looking at new ways to improve the website and the app and the controllers and new products that we can create to help make running tracks super easy for you, because that's what we're passionate about. We want to make it so you can just focus on leading worship and stop having to focus on technical stuff, all right? Because that can distract from what you're doing. You just want to lead worship, and you don't want to be thinking about audio routing stuff, all right? So we're trying to make it easier and easier for you. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. We could not do what we do without you, and we are thankful for every single community member we have. Thanks for tuning in on this live stream. Again, if you missed it at the beginning, hit the share button on this video to be entered to win any multi-track of your choice. We're going to choose 5 people to get a multi-track of their choice. Again, thank you so much to our sponsor of this live stream, Word Worship. Check out thechurchwillsing.com if you want to learn more about that project. And check out trackrig.com if you're interested in this new device. We hope this is helpful for you guys. Thanks so much for being a part of LC. We will see you soon.